was unimaginable for both Sonny and you. I want to also thank Sonny for asking and giving me the honor to deliver his eulogy at this state funeral. It was an ask that no friend would want to hear from another because it meant nearer than either had ever thought. I want to thank Governor Calvo, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, Chief Justice Carmelito, and all other dignitaries for being here, and most especially Speaker Cruz for convening the legislatura en Guahan to honor your colleague, my friend and brother, Senator Sonny Lujan Orsini. The people of Guam elected Sonny to this body 23 years ago, and we gather today to pay public tribute to the significance of a man who we deemed a leader for our island. To his children, Joshua, Leonardo, and Isabella, that's why the leaders of our island and our community are here today, because your dad's contributions to Guam were significant. Senator Orsini succumbed to cancer 10 days ago. He was only 48 years old, and he had only known his diagnosis shortly after his birthday back in December. December, one of the most important months of the year. It's a month when we are reminded that Pearl Harbor was bombed, Guam was occupied, and baby Jesus was born in a manger. All three beginnings, two tragic and one eternal. After Sonny was diagnosed and after it settled in, my brother worked past his emotions of uncertainty and fear and found the resolve to fight back. But Sonny was always one that was prepared to fight. In high school, he picked up the nickname Sonny Lee because of his love for the martial arts and one of his idols at the time, Bruce Lee. Sonny studied and became a practitioner of Wing Chun Kung Fu. He walked the halls of GW like he was auditioning to be in a 1970s Kung Fu movie. He wore the long sleeve Chinese button-styled shirt with loose-fitting pants and those black Kung Fu shoes. And on those special days, the all-yellow Bruce Lee jumpsuit from the movie Game of Death, accessorized with nunchucks, of course, and I'm not kidding about that. His brother Buddy remembers those days gone by, the ones when both of you could do the splits. This past week has been a difficult one for Sonny's family, his closest friends, and many others who had known him. When I was first told about his passing, I reached out to Kim. It had only been hours since he had been at peace, and in spite of our sadness, we both knew that Sonny was in a better place, one without pain or suffering and without worry. Kim had known better than any one of us how he had fought against his disease, the physical and spiritual energy he mustered over the past 8 months, and the renewed belief in the power of prayer gave his soul some comfort. I visited Sonny in Los Angeles back in April as he was going through his recovery. Chemo and radiation hadn't taken the physical toll on him as I had thought it would. He looked good, and I was happy to see him recovering. His spirits were high, he was optimistic, and he said he felt the prayers were helping. Bro, he said, prayer, I believe in it. And he gave a thumbs up. As we talked, and through his own tears, I know that Sonny was grateful for all those who kept him in their thoughts and prayers. Governor Gutierrez and First Lady Auntie Jerry, his colleague, former Senator Jesse Lujan, and others who remembered him over the last 8 months. Sonny felt the power of your prayers and your prayer groups. If he hadn't found the time to express his gratitude, he was very thankful to all those who extended their love to him and his family. 30 years ago, I met Sonny. I was both impressed and intimidated. Here was a guy, my same age, but he was polished. He was always dressed like he was wearing his Sunday's best. He drove a BMW. He wore Christian Dior glasses. He had really good hair, and he was hands down smart. I would learn that he had already taken up the fight for my generation. He was in the Guam Youth Congress. He was engaged with people. He could relate to his peers, but also stand his ground with those older and more experienced. He was talking and fighting for things that many of his peers weren't even thinking about. Opportunity for young people, drug addiction and the Just Say No campaign, social justice, and Guam's future. And this guy, Sonny, he was only 19 years old. As I brought him into my own circle of friends from Father Duenas, I answered this question more than once. Which class is he in? 85, 86? And I'd respond, 86. And then they'd say, oh, so he's classmates with Wes Cassidy. No, he graduated from GW. They'd look dumbfounded. So he's not from FD? Nope, I say GW. Elitist Father Duenas graduates then, even before Mr. Underwood tagged us all as thinking and acting above the rest. Now, I knew guys from Barragata and certainly interacted with the boys from George Washington. But who was this guy, and why does he speak like that? I certainly couldn't have been the only one who felt like I needed both a thesaurus and a dictionary just to keep up with him. Even Congresswoman Berdallo, when she was a senator, and both Sonny and I were working for her, tried to tone down his verbiage in legislative resolutions. She tells a story that one day she got a call from the late and longtime legal counsel, Andy Gale, and he asked her, who is writing your resolutions? And why are they using such long words? And so Madeline asked me first, and I told her, not me, you better check on it. And though Mr. Gale wanted both the words and resolutions to be shorter, Sonny didn't listen. He kept doing what he did. Sonny resisted because he knew what he was doing wasn't wrong. It was his way. He was well-read and studied not only in politics, but political strategy. And he often quoted Machiavelli's The Art of War. Quote, knowing how to fight made men more bold, because no one fears doing what it seems to him he has learned to do. A few years later, Sonny left Guam to finish his degree at Bennington College in Vermont, and while away, he also interned in the U.S. Senate for Senator Ted Kennedy. And when Sonny returned home, he launched his campaign for the Guam legislature when he was 24 years old. And we, his friends, like David Bell and others, rallied around him. He had spent years before that campaign preparing himself for public service, learning how to fight, to be bold, to be comfortable and confident that at his age, he was willing to ask the public to trust and believe in him. Our people responded, and he placed in the top 5 out of 21. As a legislator, he continued fighting for what he believed was right and what made good policy. Sometimes the fight was misplaced or impulsive, and a glimpse of the old Sonny Lee surfaced. At one time, replacing nunchucks with hot dogs, and instead of a worthy opponent, he was left with Don Parkinson. Nonetheless, the good senator was responsible for legislating the creation of the island-wide beautification task force under the Lieutenant Governor's office, codifying a revolving fund to advance aquaculture development and training, legislated the establishment of rules for the Chamorro Land Trust Commission so they could begin making residential and agricultural leases of Chamorro Land Trust properties, created a law to allow residents to recover overpayment of property taxes to the government, and eliminated the annual accrual of sick leave by legislators in the 23rd Guam legislature. Not that legislators keep scores of their accomplishments, but Senator Orsini, at the age of 25, as a one-term legislator, had 5 bills he sponsored become law, even in the midst of a fairly tumultuous 23rd. He was concerned that our island not only be our paradise, but look like one too. Help keep money in the pockets of taxpayers, promoted aquaculture, helped pave the way for Chamorro Land Trust lands to be utilized by our people, and ensured that his colleagues couldn't take advantage of accumulating sick leave. That's a pretty good record for a one-term legislator. It may have not set the bar, like getting elected at 24 and sworn in at 25, but those are achievements that I'm happy to be associated with. I'll miss that Sonny wasn't given a second, third, or more terms to legislate for our community. I'll miss Sonny because outside of him being a statesman and public servant, He was a good friend and a good man. He cared about his family so much. And Kim, he wouldn't have become the man we all know and love were it not for you and the family you two grew. He loved you very, very much. Josh, he would always tell me how proud he was of you during your time in the military and that you were now your own man with your own family. Izzy, your dad and I have always made comparisons between you growing up and my own daughter Gabriella growing up. He so loved you and enjoyed every moment being with you. And Leo, your Gates scholarship was a relief for him because before your scholarship, he was trying to figure out how much more brisket he needed to smoke to pay for Stanford. And even before you left for college, I know he was seeing himself in you with all your activism in the community and standing up for your beliefs. We're more familiar now with Sonny the businessman and entrepreneur, the owner of Asu, the best smoked meats in the region. Returning home to open up a small business was a big step for the Orsinis, but he and his brother Buddy took that big step together with the support of their loved ones. So everyone knows, Sonny didn't just open up a barbecue place because he knew how to turn meat over an open flame. For years, while he was in Vermont, he studied the culinary arts, much like how he studied the martial arts and the liberal arts. He studied so that he could master it. It started in Vermont when he and Kim moved back in the late 90s. Kim was finishing school and Sonny was working for the University of Vermont, counseling young adults. He would tell me, bro, I'm barbecuing out here and selling it at the farmer's market. It was something that gave him a little extra cash, and really, after a 5 to 7 month winter, with temperatures in the teens and snowfall varying between 60 and 120 inches, what island boy wouldn't want to fire up a grill and throw on some meat once the sun came back out? So that's where it all started. And from there, for the next several years, Sonny would travel around to the southern states to learn about smoking meat. He created his own style, incorporated ingredients from his experience of Guam barbecues, perfected his technique, and mastered the meat. When he returned to Guam to open up Asu, he made it a point to source as many of his ingredients locally. Wood being one of the most important ingredients for smoking from our jungles, salt from Inarajan, and once he asked me to bring him black pepper from Pohnpei. Sonny was all about promoting our region and our culture, utilizing our resources and keeping an active presence in our community. Asu had become a place where people would seek him out for opinions or help, and he was always happy to do whatever he could for whomever asked. It became a place for him to keep a pulse on our people. He told me more than once, bro, people see me at Asu and they say, hey, Senator, Lanya, I voted for you in 1996. And Sonny would look at me and with a deadpan face, and we would laugh, and then he'd say, bro, maybe I should have won re-election. And we laughed again. Asu allowed him to stay in touch, and I know it meant the world to him to have that sort of connection with people. It's something that touched his internal desire to continue helping our people. And oddly enough, Republicans were happy that he was a small business owner now too. A few years ago, he told me, bro, this minimum wage proposal is making it really difficult for me. You see, he was now feeling some of the pressures of a business owner and publicly expressed it in an interview with one of the media outlets. Bro, he said, these Republicans are loving that I had to say something about raising the minimum wage. But I'm a Democrat, and I know that we need higher wages for our people. We talked it through. The wages rose. He and Buddy had to tinker with their operations a little bit, but there was no gloom and doom for Asu or for our business community at large, something predicted by many of the naysayers. And raising wages came up again more recently, and this time Sonny fully engaged in the legislative process, testifying at a hearing on the matter, and standing up for the working class and finding middle ground to help protect small businesses. And he's also fought the good fight on behalf of all the small businesses incubating at the Chamorro village to keep rent and fees low, and making the case that if we want a stronger Guam, we need to have smarter economic policies to help small businesses grow and flourish. Small businesses keep their dollars here, while larger companies from off-island, though they have more capital to invest, often are getting qualifying certificates, which means they pay no taxes for decades. It's a fight that he was getting into, and I know he was marshaling supporters to support all of our small businesses. Last year, Sonny ran my own campaign for the U.S. Congress, and I didn't realize how much I missed being with him on the campaign trail until we started going to events together. Sonny was a natural with people, and he never lost a step. We had a small campaign team, and virtually no one but Sonny and I had campaign experience. He never let me down once, and he was always at my side. My Chelumo, my brother. At 48, Sonny had a very full life. God took him home early so that we could remember him on a day like today. Remember his enthusiasm for public service. Remember his outlook on life, that nothing was going to stop him. He would fight for it all, his generation, for his people, for his culture, for his island, and most importantly, for his family. God's plan for Sonny brought us together today for the Good Senator's state funeral, to publicly pay tribute to one of our island's best. God reminds us all of what we've yet to accomplish by remembering Sonny's short life. The irony of his disease is that it took away his voice, but by the grace of God, it never diminished his spirit to live and to fight to stay with his family as long as God would allow. And so, as we bid him goodbye, we remember his zest for life, and we are inspired by his example. Pues adios hasta aquí. We will always miss you, my brother.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babauta. I now invite the Governor, the Chief Justice, members of the Minute of the Cuatro Leyes of Guam, and honored guests and friends to bid farewell to the late Honorable Sonny Lujan Orsini, former Senator of the Guam Legislature.